Hey everyone, welcome back to the Beneath the Layers podcast. I am back with the new season of this podcast, and here we have Rachel. And Rachel, I think I've only known for a couple months now, but here we are. We're about to get to know her a little bit better. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Rachel. Not quite sure what to put in this introduction here, but I guess I'm 23. And
you guess or you know you're 23?
I know I am 23.
Okay.
I know that. And I was born here in San Diego, but I grew up in Texas, and now I'm back living here. And I don't know, I work with Larry.
She works with me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, part of your transition over here from from Texas to San Diego, like how has that been since you said you grew up kind of in Texas, but then you came back over here, right? Mm-hmm. So is there a lot that you miss about Texas, like being there? And how has it been like coming back over here? I think you said you grew up, right? So that means that pretty much your family is all over there, and then you came back over here.
Yeah, my parents are actually high school sweethearts.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So they're both from Houston, but then my dad got a job out here in San Diego right out of college, and then eventually my mom came and moved out here, and they lived out here for 12 years but had me for the last 2. But then we moved to Dallas.
Okay.
Because my mom's mom, my grandma, was living there at the time. So we moved to Dallas, and then that's why I grew up there. That's pretty much what I remember. And they're all my family is still in Dallas. But then I love California, and so I just toured a bunch of California schools for college and ended up back here, and now I definitely don't want to leave.
So you only looked at California schools? You didn't look at any other schools?
Well, my dad went to A&M. Do you know, Texas?
Yeah.
And that's a really big, it's a big deal kind of, I guess, to go there and be an alumni there. And I grew up going to Aggie games, and for Christmas and birthdays, my dad would routinely get me Aggie themed gifts, shirts and apparel and stuff like that. And it was interesting because when I applied there, that was the one Texas school I applied to.
Oh, I see.
Was Texas A&M, and I actually initially wanted to be a zoo vet when I was first in high school, and A&M has a really good vet program. Yeah. And it's in Texas and in-state, and my dad went there. So I didn't end up getting in, and that was really...
That hurt
at the time. Yeah. Well, especially because my GPA and what was the test? I can't even remember now. SAT, yeah.
SAT.
Or actually, I think I took ACT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Was enough for me to get in, and my dad was an alumni, which normally carries some weight, so it was kind of upsetting to me, but it definitely, looking back, was a blessing in disguise, because I feel my dad would have pushed for me to go there a lot more if I had gotten accepted. Since they had a good program and state tuition, my dad went there and loved it, so I think it actually was really good that I didn't get in, even though I remember being in calculus senior year of high school, and I was crushed when I found out I didn't get in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you said it was a blessing in disguise, so is that because you're able to, you got accepted at schools over here, right? So you're able to come over here and you realize that you love it here?
Oh, yeah.
Is that why you're saying that it's a blessing in disguise?
Definitely, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can't imagine how different my life would be if I went to A&M for college.
What do you think your life would be if you stayed, I guess, there? Do you think you would have been a vet? Zoo vet?
Well, let me tell you why I wanted to do that, because that'll make more sense.
Sure.
Did you watch, probably, during quarantine, Tiger King? Or are you familiar? You didn't?
Yeah, I'm
no way.
familiar. I didn't watch all of it.
Really? You should watch it.
I should probably watch it. But okay, yeah.
Anyways.
I know there's a lot about it, so there's some things that I know about it, yeah.
Okay. Well, everyone was shocked when all this, like, major drama of, like, the Wildcat business or industry, whatever you want to call it, whatever those like people were running, right? Were blown away that there were these terrible sanctuaries that would just like breed cats for profit. But I had known that for a really long time because I worked it was called a large cat rescue facility, like 15 minutes from my house. So throughout high school I volunteered there, and so I've like pet like a tiger and like a lion and a cougar. Yeah. And they had some lemurs. The lemurs were crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, it was really cool. I really enjoyed it actually.
Okay. And so that's what kind of made you want to. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So coming out here though, you, I mean, obviously aren't going towards that direction of being a zoo vet. So what helped you decide kind of like the route that you ended up taking, which I think is biology related, right?
Yeah.
More cell biology related.
I guess. Because I went in as a biology major. My school, USD, like, they have this thing where you can't declare until... I don't even think you can declare your freshman year. That's maybe wrong. But you definitely come in undeclared.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But you can tell them, like, if you're leaning more towards some classes or a major. So I came in taking, like, bio and chem, which ended up being really nice because some people who then, like, later decided. Then they were behind, and that allowed me to go abroad. So,
which is actually very interesting.
Yeah.
So the one thing, or one of the first things that I remember learning about you is that you actually have been to a lot of places around the world.
I have.
So what would you say has been, I guess, your favorite place that you've gone to? And like, why is that one your favorite out of the rest? Now I know you went to more of like a study abroad program. Yeah. Right? So maybe you didn't get the entire full experience of some places, but from what you have experienced, what would you say has been like your favorite?
Of all the places I went? Yeah. I think the most fun I had was Cape Town, South Africa. Oh. And that city is like beautiful. It's like a dreamland. Like everything just driving around was stunning. But I wish I had done more like cultural things there. I think I did a lot of like fun things, but there's a lot of history obviously with South Africa and like apartheid and like all the like effects they still feel from that. And I think it would have been like a lot more impactful if I had like put a little more effort into like doing activities, or like maybe not activities is the right word, but like doing things to make myself more aware of the world. Instead of just
did you have the option to do that, or you just kind of did whatever you thought was fun?
So basically it's called Semester at Sea, and how it works is they like have for each port they put on like little trips, I guess, that could even just last a couple hours of one day, like, and span into the whole like 2 or 3 days that you're there. I see. Yeah. But they all organize it and you like pay them, so they're like pretty pricey compared to if you just like independently did your own thing. Yeah. But everything is like really nice, and there's like a tour guide, and like everything is organized for you. So like I did one of their trips in India when we went to the Taj Mahal. I just like did it fully with them because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna even attempt to try and figure out India by myself. So I will pay the money to have someone help me. Yeah. Anyways, all that to say that they did have like options like that in South Africa for stuff like that. But again, it kind of goes back to they were pricey.
Okay. That makes sense. I get it. Yeah.
I kind of just like did my own independent travel, but then I just did like, I went on a safari, which was really cool.
That sounds cool. A safari in Africa.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, what about?
Okay, yeah, we got back, or the original question got off track. That was the most fun I had.
The most fun. Oh, the most fun you had. That's right. Yeah.
Yes, but the coolest city was Tokyo. I really liked Tokyo. Mm-hmm. And some place that I feel like I want to visit again, or like, I guess if given the option, maybe I could have like redone, or would have just done a little different, was Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why would you? So would you say that was like your least favorite time there?
No, I guess I mean to say like I want to go back and redo and like revisit Ho Chi Minh.
I got it.
Yeah.
So what about that? Is like, did you do something or not do something?
I feel like I was just in like a really bad mood when we were there.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And all the places I went and like things I did and saw. Yeah. Were obviously once in a lifetime, and I'm really thankful for that opportunity that I had. But I think like it was also a lot harder that whole semester for me personally than I feel like other people like came back from semester at sea and were raving about how it was like the best 4 months of their life. And like arguably that was probably the hardest 4 months of my life.
Really?
And I think it like really shaped who I am now.
Really?
Yeah. I think it really like helped me after that. When I came back from study abroad, I was off. Like I was not myself. My friends would always tell me like that was like I was not well when I first got back. And I think that just like caused me to like really reflect on myself a lot. And like I feel like I've come out a lot better person. But yeah, I think it like really, that was like the tipping point of like it all came to a head at semester at sea, because I was just had a really hard semester. Anyways, so I think especially like when I was in Vietnam, I was like really not having fun.
Was that like towards the end of it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say has been like the biggest difference between you like then and then coming out of it, and like what's the thing that when you went back and reflected on is the thing that you found that was different than before you left to that program?
I feel like I just became a lot more comfortable with who I am. Like I feel like I was very in my head a lot and like just anxious constantly. And then something about like not having you kind of have like a home base-ish, like the ship. Yeah. But you, essentially how it works is you just are on the ship for like, I think the longest time we were on there was maybe like a week or two, and the shortest was like a day or two. So like, and then whenever you're not on the ship, you're like in a different port. Yeah. So I feel like just not having like a constant like place to come back to was really weird. And like, I don't know, it wasn't comfortable, I guess maybe is the best way to put it. And then I feel like I just like wasn't comfortable with like myself either, so it just wasn't a good like combination of anything. Like nothing was really like working out. And so I think when I got back, I was actually really excited. I remember the day we like
coming back home, you're excited?
Because it starts the like you get on board the ship in Germany, but it ended in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
And I remember like sitting outside, and we had to wait to be like voted by like our group that they assigned us or whatever. And I remember like being in my cabin and I was like shaking for some reason. I was like so ready to leave, which is, I don't know, like probably not the experience that a lot of people did not want to leave.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I didn't. I mean, it was really fun and I loved the things I saw and did. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was just kind of tough. Personally.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has their own sort of experiences with things. Like, yeah. And I feel like a lot of times because you mentioned something interesting during that whole thing is like you said you were there for 4 months?
Yeah.
4 months total. You were uncomfortable the whole time, kind of, because, you go to a new country, it's a whole different culture. It's like, not used to it, you don't know what to expect. But sometimes doing things you're not comfortable with, getting outside your comfort zone is where life is. Yeah. And for me personally, also, I had to get out of my own comfort zone to find myself. So maybe you had a similar experience when you went on this trip. Yeah. In a different sense, but kind of the same as well.
What do you think yours was?
My comfort zone?
No, you're getting out of the comfort zone to make you realize.
Well, so what's interesting is in the moment, I didn't really feel like I was out of the comfort zone. It wasn't until like I looked back and realized exactly where that zone was for me. Mm-hmm. Like growing up, I was very a quiet, shy individual, like someone who didn't really talk much and was like actually more like afraid to speak up about anything or say anything. And then there's just little moments here and there that would happen where I would just be like get this sudden outburst of courage or something like that, something along those lines where I can just say something and be really nervous afterwards because I didn't know how people would react, And the one thing that has kind of always kept with me a little bit is like usually when you're more to yourself, quiet individual, the moment you say something, somebody has a comment that's like, oh, you're finally talking, or you're finally, doing this and doing that. And so that kind of made me a little bit more like quiet in a way. But, over time, I just noticed that by just doing my best to not really care what other people had to say helped me get out of that and put me in a place where instead of kind of just always being in a uncomfortable position whenever I would talk to somebody or speak up about something or say whatever's on my mind, I was able to kind of expand my comfort zone to reach that where I have become comfortable with being able to do things like that. And so that kind of took when I look back on it, took a lot of time because it wasn't just like one moment or a few moments that kind of led up to that. It was just a multitude of just different experiences or different moments in my life where it helped me kind of get to that point, if that makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of like how my experience in that realm of uncomfortability is. But I think everybody's different in that way. Everybody has a point where they can feel comfortable and they can feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And, where growth happens, I feel like, is when you're able to expand that comfort level into things you used to be uncomfortable with. Yeah. And now you just become comfortable with it. And then now those uncomfortabilities are just further out, Yeah. And yeah, so that's just kind of how I look at it in a way. Yeah. But. Yeah. So all in all, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I still think about it and it was this weird fever dream that I did this. Yeah. I mean, until you go visit again, right? Then you'll be like, I remember this. Yeah. If you were to go back to one of those or any of those places, I'm sure there'd be different things you would do, right? You wouldn't really do the same things. Yeah. Is there one, you mentioned Tokyo, but is there like a couple different places that you would go to probably first over all the others? Like, like why would you go to those places? Like Tokyo, it sounds like it was one of them.
Tokyo, yeah, so fun. Such a like cool city to see, and like there's just a whole bunch of lights all lit up in Japanese, obviously, but I don't know. I think it's just interesting to like see that. But what was I gonna say? Oh, honestly, I wouldn't go back to India. Yeah, I think every person should go to see what it's like. Yeah. But it was a lot.
Really?
Yeah. It was just like draining at the end of each day. Just how like a lot in every sense, truly. Like there's so many people and like smell and feel and touch and taste. Like every aspect of India was like very in your face. Overwhelming. Yeah. But it also like definitely made me really sad for our planet, which I feel like is another big reason why I'm like everyone should go. Because I don't know, I feel like I constantly now when I throw things away, I'm like, where does this go? And then I think of like the things, like piles of trash I saw in India, and I'm like, that's where it goes. And that's sad.
Yeah, I know that that's a big problem over there in the Southeast Asia oceans. Like there's a lot of trash just floating around in the oceans, and then they just kind of plop up right on the coastline every now and then. I know, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about.
I remember driving by one time. We were like in the big bus, but we're just on the road, and there was cows like in the median, I guess, in between the two lanes. And they were just walking on just straight trash.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was sad.
And so is that like one place that you've been that was just absolutely completely different than what you've ever seen before? It was India?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of... I would say like almost all the Asian countries were like very different from what I've ever known. Because Europe is like... We started in Germany, like I said, and went to Spain. Yeah. And that wasn't too like anything wild. And then South Africa was very different, yes, but I don't know. Something about like all the Asian countries I visited was definitely like new to me. Yeah.
So everything was just like you had to familiarize yourself with, because some things are just, you don't even know what they are, or things like that. Like I get that. I haven't been visited any Asian countries yet, but I mean, I really like to, just so I can have an experience like that, just to see, you know. I think it would be pretty cool. Yeah. Another
really big highlight I would say was hiking the Great Wall of China. Was really cool.
You did that, huh?
I did that, and that was something.
The whole wall?
Not the whole wall. Definitely not the whole wall.
Okay.
But there was like a I think it was just called like Chinese buffet or something near my house growing up, but me and my brother would always reference it just like, we're like gonna go to the Great Wall of China. And that was like kind of this joke growing up, so it was kind of cool to actually be at the Great Wall of China. But I was so sick that day, and so I feel like that's why it was like another it was terrible, and it was cold. It was December or maybe November, but it was cold. So I was freezing cold and really, really sick. And then they don't have Google in China. And so you can't like have Google Maps or like use Google Maps. And so I was trying to like find our way back to, well, you know what? Actually, it was an Airbnb, but Airbnb is illegal in China.
Really?
Or something. I don't know the in and outs. Don't quote me on that, but there was some like, it was a little bit weirdly underground for some reason. So we like got this Airbnb, but then it took us forever to find this place because the address listed on the posting wasn't actually the address where we were staying.
Oh, I see.
Because of the like
the sketchiness
of Airbnb, I guess. And anyway, so I was trying to find this way back to the, like, I don't know even what to call it other than Airbnb, because it wasn't really an apartment, but and I was really, really sick, and Google Maps, like, you can't use it.
Yeah.
And my phone was dying. I mean, I guess not that would have been much help anyways at the time, but I was like, I don't know how I'm getting back. Like, I don't know. I don't feel well. Yeah. I can't find this place. Yeah. It was a long day.
So how did you end up finding your way back then?
Oh, that was, okay. Actually, that was the other aspect too, is this one girl that I was with at the time was, you know what? I hope she's doing well in life, but she was really annoying me that day. Yeah. And maybe I was just extra not in the mood because I was sick. Yeah. But it was just me and her walking back. And she started to, like, get mad. And, like, I feel like when things get stressful or, like, I'm, like, not in a good mood, it's not helping anyone to, like, be really upset. And like, obviously there's a shift in my, like, mood, but I try not to, like, ruin everyone's day with it. But she maybe didn't have that mindset. So she starts getting mad at me, and I'm like, I'm mad. And
it's
sick.
Just you two?
It was just us two. We had another group. I can't remember why we split up. I think it was because I wanted to go home because I was really sick. And she was like, I want to go too. We can go. Anyways, so we're, like, walking around. We can't find the place. And I think eventually just combined both of our, like, slight memory of how to get back to this place. Yeah. We were able to somehow find it. Thank God. But
yeah. Well, that's unfortunate that you were sick there, but
yeah.
At least you experienced it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, it sounds like you went to a lot of places, like a bunch of different countries over the course of 4 months. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to do something like that, especially during school, but I think it was just always too expensive for me, so I never got to do that. Yeah. Though I did go to London. That's the only place I've been, like, well, other than Mexico. Yeah. It's the only place I've been, like, outside the U.S. so far.
London.
And I guess technically I had a layover in Canada, but I mean, I don't count that.
That doesn't count. But I really like Canada, though. You should go to Canada.
I really want to. Yeah. Yeah, I really want to do that, actually. I want to go to, because I know Canada has a lot of, like, cool, like, nature stuff. So, and that's what I'm really into. So that's what I would go there for, most likely. Yeah. Like, I'm not really too, like, I don't really care too much to go to, like, big cities type of places. I mean, unless it's, like, somewhere in a country, like Spain or something, you go to Barcelona and see how cool it is. But yeah, I really want to go to places like Canada, Switzerland, Iceland for, like, all the nature stuff that they have there. And I think that'd be super cool. I had a friend,
I think she just went, I'm pretty sure it was Iceland recently, like within the last month, and she saw a volcano erupting. Wow. Yeah.
That'd be cool. I actually want to see that. A volcano erupting live? That'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't
dangerous, but cool.
Like huge, but it was, lava was coming out. Oh, yeah, okay. She got pretty close.
Yeah, see, I would do exactly that. Yeah. I'd get close. But yeah, I mean, traveling is definitely something I want to do a lot of, especially, like, while I'm younger, though. Like, yeah, I know a lot of people, they tend to, like, wait till they're retired or, like, do something like that. But since I love all the nature stuff, I feel like it'd be a lot more harder for me to do hikes or things like that when I'm older compared to, like, right now when I'm younger. Yeah. Like, when I'm older, I wouldn't mind, like, going to visit, like, a place like Italy, like Rome or something like that. I could just
sit and eat.
Sit and eat. Yeah. Fly thousands of miles just to eat. Yeah. Some pasta. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that'd be super cool. It's definitely something I want to do too. So it's really cool that you've gone to all these places. I don't know if I know of anybody personally who's gone to more places than you have. Yeah.
Well, mine was all in that short span of time.
Did you go anywhere before that? Like, have you been anywhere before?
Yeah, I had gone to Canada, like I said. Oh, okay. My trips to Canada were interesting. I went to Canada when I was, like, in 7th grade for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, with this random program with like a whole bunch of other 7th graders.
Okay.
And honestly, it was weird. I forget about that one even more than semester at sea.
You're just like, it's weird. I don't want to remember that time or what?
No, it was cool. It was good. But I had a harder time with that one.
Yeah.
But I think that was because I was a lot younger and I hadn't done anything that drastic.
Got it. Yeah, that
like
makes sense.
leaving the country without my parents for 2 weeks with a bunch of strangers.
Oh, you didn't even know these 7th graders?
Oh, not at all. Oh. Yeah.
No, that is interesting.
Yeah.
What was this, like a summer camp thing? Science camp?
Kinda. It was like over the summer thing, and it was with this program called People to People. Which,
that actually sounds familiar. Did they like give you a letter saying, "Oh, you've been accepted to"?
Or
I think I got those. I never did
I did
it
though. One summer.
I never did it.
So I think it was really good for little Rachel, but it was also really hard for her. But all about getting uncomfortable, I guess.
Yeah, getting uncomfortable at 7th grade. You probably don't know what it means.
Yeah. But then another time I went with my mom, and one of my friends, she was like my neighbor all growing up.
Okay.
And we were really good friends when we were young, like kindergarten and below.
Yeah.
But then once we got to like 1st, 2nd grade and like into school, she went to the public school near me, but I had gone to this private school, so we kind of just drifted apart, like made other friends at school.
Got it, yeah.
But we ended up both going to the same high school then, and so we became really good friends again.
Yeah.
But our moms were good friends and we were neighbors, and so me and my mom and her mom went to this mission trip or like service type trip in Canada with like a native Canadian tribe, and we like helped them with whatever they needed help with for a week.
No, that's pretty.
And
was that interesting or what? Your reaction says that this is a little interesting.
It was just really interesting doing a service trip with my mother.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So are you really close to your parents? Like your mom or your dad? Maybe you're closer to one more so than the other, but or do you feel like you're
whichever one I say, they're going to be upset if I say.
This is the podcast with the truth.
Yeah. I just can't show them the podcast. No, I would say that I probably am closer with my dad.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely am close with my parents. It's weird because my brother is 3 years younger than me, and so he went off to college 2 or 3 years ago. He's a junior. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But when I had gone off to college and he was still at home, so like all my freshman through junior year, we didn't really talk much at all.
Oh, okay.
Because I think they were just still occupied with my brother. But then once my brother left, they would call me a lot more, which I think is good. But for a minute there, I think I had mentioned this to you, that sometimes I feel like they just now call me all the time, and I'm like, hey,
what is this?
And it'll be almost, I don't want to say awkward, that sounds mean, but sometimes they're like, what's new? And I'm like, nothing, I just work. And they want to still be involved in my life, which I really appreciate, but sometimes I'm like, listen, I have no news for you guys. I just go to work and rinse and repeat.
That's kind of the same with my parents. They'll reach out every once in a while or whatever the case might be, and I know what you mean by how sometimes it feels a little awkward because there's these moments of silence because it's well, what do you want to talk about? What else do you want to talk about? Yeah, because same for me. It's just mostly work. That's all that we do. And surviving. Yeah.
But my dad will FaceTime me pretty much every Sunday morning.
Oh, okay.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, I don't have any updates for your dad. Like, I had a boring week. Yeah, and then I answer it, and I'm like, hey.
How's it going?
How's it going?
It's always the same thing.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, speaking of relationships with your parents.
Okay.
Let's transition to other types of relationships.
Okay.
This is good to the good stuff.
All right.
I know that you had mentioned to me, I don't know, it was like a couple days ago, I think. I think it was a couple days ago.
Yeah.
That actually you just recently were in a relationship but are no longer. How has that been for you? How's the I guess what I'm asking is like, how's the transition for you, like going from having a significant other to like kind of not having one and being, I guess, alone? Alone again?
Yeah.
Alone yet again.
Alone yet again. Fine, I guess. I don't know. I never dated anyone before him. Like, that was the first person I've ever dated. So
that was the first person you've ever called like your boyfriend?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it didn't last that long.
Yeah.
So I feel like I like wanted to get more to a point with him where I like could have been more sad when we broke up.
Could have been more sad. Okay.
But then he didn't want to. Yeah. Like, basically, I feel like I told you, he just gave me this like ultimatum of like, I can't, like, I only see like 3 options where it's like we keep doing this and like no one's happy, or like 2, I just like do a 180 and stop caring as much about like my work and like workout routine and like fitness goals, or like 3, we break up. And I was like, I don't think it's so 1, 2, 3. But the fact that it is in your head like that, then like, we're breaking up. Like, that's, I don't know, like that seems kind of
red flaggish.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. I mean, I was sad like obviously the next day, but
no, just one day.
Honestly,
it's just one day, and then I was like, all right.
Then I just was like, well, so his loss.
Yeah, there you go. So let's just take it like, I guess, a little bit before that relationship then. So is this somebody that you knew before you met them, like through someone else or whatever the case might be? Like, how did it build up into even getting into a relationship in the first place?
Yeah, well, he went to the same college as me, actually, but I didn't know him at all. He was a year older, but he works at the same company that my roommate's boyfriend works at. And his company, it's called Alpha Tech, and like I joked that it was like a frat, like a fraternity, and it even sounds like a frat, like Alpha Tech. But they all were like such a little clique. Yeah. And and they would all like throw parties and like drink together and like literally like a frat. And anyways,
so it didn't come out of nowhere. This is, you calling it a frat had some meaning behind it.
Oh yeah. No. Okay. All that to say though, that then my roommate's boyfriend like had people over for St. Patrick's Day, and
good holiday. Good holiday to celebrate.
Yeah. Yeah. It was also like a week after too that we were like, St. Patrick's Day, let's bring it back. Yeah. Yeah. And so then he came and I went, and then I met him there, and then we just like continued to talk after that. Oh, okay. So. And
then he just, I guess you were dating for a while, and then he just asked you to be his girlfriend. And
you know what? Yeah. I didn't ask him.
You asked him.
Yes.
Really?
This is probably why I was not that sad that it ended. But well, okay. So. Here's why: is because my dad came a little bit ago, like Memorial Day or something, I guess in May. Okay. And at that time, because we met like end of March, and then we were just like continued to hang out all through, like, this was now end of May. Yeah. And my dad came for that long weekend, And we had gone on this hike in the morning, and then later, but I thought my dad was going to get in like an hour later, so we come back to my house, and then all of a sudden my dad calls me and he's like, I'm here. And so I was like, oh, like, my dad's here. So he like met my dad.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, well, that's weird. Like, what's happening now? And then one of his friends, they were talking about, we had gone out to this Padres game, and he had walked by Jose's, because I work at this Mexican food restaurant. And he walked by Jose's, and one day, I guess, and then at this Padres game, he was like, oh yeah, like I walked by Jose's, and I was like telling whoever I was with, like, oh, like Nate's girlfriend works there. So then in my head I was like, oh. And then actually on that hike earlier before that, one of his friends from school had come in for that weekend, that long weekend also, and so we went on a hike with him and his girlfriend. And then at one point, randomly during the hike, I saw this other guy that I knew, and I honestly didn't even know him that well.
Yeah.
Like I was just gonna kind of like not make eye contact and like
walk past
him, but he really saw me and he was like, Rachel. And I was like, hey, like, how are you? And then when we walked away, they were all just kind of teasing me like, oh, that guy was excited to see you. And then his friend was like, yeah, like, why weren't you like, oh, have you met like Nate, my boyfriend? And I was like, oh, so you like, clearly what is he saying to his friends that he's not telling me?
Well, how was he like during that time? Was he like awkwardly standing by, just like as people are calling him your boyfriend, or is he just like
no, I feel like it was just he just rolled with it. Well, not even then. When I then asked him one night, I was just like, so like, are you my boyfriend? He's like, and then no, he was like, what would you say? And I was like, no, what would you say? And then he said, I'd say yes. And I was like, okay, great.
So that's just kind of, it wasn't actually like a formal ask. It was like what are we? And you just kind of agreed.
I guess so.
You just agreed. I guess you are then.
I guess you are.
That's interesting. I don't know if I've heard of a relationship happening in that way before. So that's cool. I mean, interesting.
Yeah. You know what? He was really nice. He meant really well. He was a really nice guy, but he was also a very interesting guy. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, now looking forward, I don't know if like there's anybody else you're interested in now, but what do you look for, or what are you looking for when it comes to that, when it comes to having a relationship?
I feel like something that I learned from that and would be looking for going forward is, I definitely think, like, you know, the like love languages. Yeah. I feel like mine is definitely quality time, and I always wanted to like there was a point where I like would go like a week and a half without seeing him, and I was busy and so was he, so it was never that I was like super annoyed or like it made me really upset, but it was just something that like I wanted to like, and that was kind of how it came to a head with us breaking up, is because I was just like, we've been dating for like 5 months now, like I go without seeing you for like a week and a half, like, and
you don't live too far from one another, right?
No, like that was kind of part of it, because he lives in Carlsbad. Oh, okay. And at the time I wasn't, I mean, now I work there, so go figure. Now I would have plenty of time, I guess, to hang out, but he cut that one short, so
I guess he did.
No, but yeah, so we did live kind of far, so that was another factor. And obviously, like I've said, like he was really intense on like both his work and his like fitness goals. And so, and I mean, I stay busy, like I live a life. So like I said, it wasn't something that I was like every day. Like I don't think from my end I was like constantly nagging him to hang out with me, but like ultimately I was dating him. I felt like we should have hung out maybe a little bit more. And so I just brought that up, and he just was like, I see 3 options. And I was like, damn,
yeah,
can't get more than a date every once a week.
Wow. Yeah, that's a little, honestly, it's a little red flag.
I know, yeah.
Maybe two or three red flags there.
Okay.
Yeah. So, maybe sometime down the line in the future, however long it takes, you'll look back and be like, maybe I just dodged a bullet there.
Maybe.
Yeah. So is that like, you're like, do you feel like for you would prefer a relationship to kind of happen more naturally than you going out looking for it? Like nowadays there's a lot of people who date or find one another through like dating apps and things like that. Like, so
here's the thing is that
you have one. Here's your username.
No, you can't do that. That's not how they work also.
I don't really know how they work, but okay.
No, this is my theory that I've always have is that if you go on the dating app dates, that you're just more naturally, like, you get more, how do I put this? Like, by going on the dates, you just have, like, opened this, like, mental Pandora's box, and that, then, like, people naturally start asking you out more in real life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting thought.
And
so why do you think that is then?
Because that's what happened. Personally, in my experience.
So you went on one of these apps and you met with people a couple times maybe?
So before I started dating him, I had gone on a couple Hinge dates. Uh-huh. And then that's when, I don't think you were there, but one time someone's mom.
Well, I was at a date. What do you mean? I
was telling this story, I think yesterday.
Telling the story. I was like, what do you mean I wasn't there?
Where this like mom at Jose's was like, I'm gonna set you up with my son.
Oh, so this wasn't even on a dating app.
This wasn't even on, but that's because I was going on that's my theory.
I see.
And then and then also during that time frame,
you don't think it's just
some
coincidence? It might just be a coincidence.
You know what? Maybe, but no. But also, here's the other thing though about them is that I feel like they're really good. Once again, theme of this podcast, I think, today is getting out of your comfort zone. And I think that is something that was really good about the Hinge dates.
It's true.
And why I don't rag on them is because they really pushed me to, like, get... Like, they're really awkward. And they're, like, really... going into one, I'm, like, so high-level anxiety, like, stressed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like... Okay. And you just kind of like push yourself through that.
Yeah.
You get there and then realize that maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's a bunch of different like ways nowadays that you can meet people, especially with the internet and online. So, I mean, maybe if you keep going on these, what is it? Hinge dates? In real life, more and more you might get people to ask you out, according to your theory. You should start writing this down. Maybe you can write a book about it and you become a best-selling author, and then that's how you meet your husband, maybe.
Wow.
He comes to get your autograph.
He reads my book.
He reads your book.
On my Hinge dates.
Yeah.
That would be terrible.
That means you had a lot of unsuccessful dates. Yeah, I mean, that's... So if you had... Let's just say somebody here is listening and you had... it's somebody who is interested in like dating, but maybe they're just not quite ready to take that step, whether it's online dating or, maybe there's somebody they're interested in and they want to ask them out or like don't really know how. Like, what's some advice that you can give to someone to kind of like push them past that first little bit of anxiety that they might have from taking that step forward? Like, is there something that you would do or something that you've done to help you get through that, since you said that, you would feel that at the beginning, but then you kind of just push yourself through it?
Yeah. Well, I feel like that kind of goes back to my whole, like what I was saying before, where I really just like after coming back from semester at sea, that was like really tough. And then I just really like re-evaluated my entire life and just became like a lot more comfortable with myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's why then like I hadn't really ever dated anyone because I just was like very closed off and like was like really anxious and like wasn't good at like talking and interacting with people.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I feel like, I don't know, I guess my advice would be like, you just kind of gotta go into something and just be like, well, like, what happened? Here I am.
I'm here now.
Like, and I feel like that was a big part of what I learned even just during that time frame, and now it's like translated, I guess.
Yeah. Kind
of in that way, and like pushing myself to do that, because before I would not have.
So you would say that you like were able to get some more confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
And you kind of go into a date being like.
And because ultimately, like, they're random strangers and you don't have to do or see them ever again. So.
You don't have to, unless they're weird.
And they stalk me. No, hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, well, just, you can watch for the signs, hopefully.
Yeah.
And get yourself out of there real fast if you see any of them. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a big thing, confidence, when it comes to not even like dating, it's just talking with people in general.
Yeah.
You know, if you kind of show a lack of confidence or like a little bit of like kind of something that I've gone through is, you know, when I was going through that quiet/shy phase that I had, I obviously lacked a lot of confidence in myself or in my abilities to communicate with people. And so, you know, when you are like that, or when you have that sort of thing going, it's kind of like those little moments of silence, of awkward silence, where nobody knows what to say, like kind of keeps people from you in a way, because they don't want to feel that awkwardness, you know. So if you can kind of mitigate that, or at least limit it as much as you can, then there's better chances of you connecting with people, I feel like.
Yeah.
And there's always something that you can connect with, like, to someone with. Like, it doesn't matter who they are, where they're from, the things they've done. Everybody has something in common, I think. So it's like you can easily find out what that is just by having that confidence in yourself and your ability to communicate how you feel or be open with others. And so, I mean, it can be the same when you go on dates.
Yeah.
So
well, and just especially like to just be like, well, whatever happened, like, just say what you
just kind of care
be yourself.
Less, right?
Yeah.
Just be yourself, care less what other people think about you.
Yeah, because I mean, once again, they're perfect random strangers. So
yeah,
sometimes I just go to them. I'd be like, I remember one time I like went for a run and then had just showered, and I came out of the shower and I put zero thought into what I was even doing or wearing, because I think I like scheduled it, and then the hour came and I was like, I don't want to do this. And then that was the beauty of it, is that you know what, I was just gonna go and just have a good time personally for me, and
that was it. Never talk to them again. Wow.
I mean,
is there like has there been a few dates that you've been on, like with
I don't think
more than twice or more than once? I mean,
I had gone on some more than twice, but I also, the other half of that theory is I purely just go on the Hinge dates just to push myself out of the get out. Like, I don't really think
it's gonna go anywhere.
It's gonna go anywhere. I don't know. I don't really have much faith in like.
Do you feel like the people that you agree to hang out with feel the opposite? Like they think this is going somewhere. this might be going somewhere. Okay. Interesting. I always wonder, because me personally, like, if like anytime that I've been in a relationship, I always like hope that it would, you know, obviously last. Yeah. You know, you don't want it to not last. But like, you know how people say they date for fun, or like they just go in a relationship from one relationship to another for fun. I actually, between all of mine that I've had, which isn't a lot, by the way, it's like 3, and I think in my 4th one now.
Nice.
But like in between all of those, there's long periods of time. Like it was never like and I mean for dating too. Like I didn't really like date just for fun either. I just, you know, I don't know. It just was always, it kind of felt weird to me. Maybe I did it like once or twice and it just felt a little odd. And I didn't like the feeling. So I was like, I'll just rather take time, figure whatever, like myself out first, whatever I need to do. And then just eventually someone will come along that, I feel like is worthy.
Yeah. You're right.
You know? Yeah. So, yeah. But anyways, thank you for coming.
Are we ending on that?
Yeah, we're going to end on that. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your stories.
Yeah, it was fun.
I'm sure there's whoever listens to this can take something from it.
Okay.
So thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
All right.